As you've probably already figured out, these plastic clips are really easy to break and sometimes hard to find. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install magnetic valance clips using a magnet, washers, and a little glue. First, I'm going to show you a few other modifications you might want to make to the brackets before you install the magnets, because the other modifications might change the alignment of the magnets. Be sure to check the information section for updates, corrections, and links to related videos. Some of these modifications can be used on the 1-inch blinds, but some may only work for the larger blinds. This area is called the window return. You can install blinds outside the window return or inside the window return. Most of the modifications I'm going to show you are for blinds installed inside the window return. Before you open the bracket gate, remove the wand and lift the blind all the way up. That'll make it easier to handle when you pull it out of the brackets. If your window returns are made of sheetrock, you need to be careful because the sheetrock mud around these areas is usually very thin and delicate. Before you try to open the gate, cut any paint that might be bonding the gate to the sheetrock loose. That way it won't pull the sheetrock mud loose when you open the gate. If the gate doesn't open easy, there may be a tab. So bend the bottom of the bracket up to clear the tab. Then use a wide blade screwdriver and don't pry up against this corner or you'll tear up your sheetrock. While pressing away from the window return, pull out on the gate. So you're pressing out this way, away from the window return, so that you don't damage the sheetrock. To prevent tearing up the sheetrock return when you open the bracket gate in the future, you can put a spacer behind the bracket. Any piece of material about a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch thick will work. You can use an old blind slat or a piece of plastic from an old tote lid. Both make good materials for a spacer. Before you reinstall the bracket, check the gate hinge. If it's too loose, it'll probably fall in your way when you're trying to install the blind into the bracket. You can tighten it up by pinching it with a pair of pliers right here. It's best not to tighten these screws down until you get all 4 in. Now you can open and shut the gate without destroying the sheetrock. After you have the brackets installed, cut just enough off of each end of the top channel to get it to fit between the brackets. Be careful not to cut it too short or it'll slide back and forth when you're locking and unlocking the blind. If the blind fits into the channel but you can't get past the screws, cut about an 1/8 to 1/4 inch off the back of the channel. But don't cut anything off the bottom or the front because that will allow the blind to move side to side. When you're finished, each end of your channel should look something like this. This is the back, this is the bottom, and this is the front. Now for the main part of the video. The valance clips are entirely too delicate, so I've replaced them with magnets. I've never used the non-magnetic universal clips before, but I have had a few people tell me that they're difficult to install and use. The plastic magnets are probably not strong enough, and the ceramic magnets are also not strong enough to hold a valance normally, but the neodymium magnets are much stronger. They're also called rare earth magnets. This is a 1x4. This is a piece of 2x material. As you can see, they're very strong, so be very careful around children with them. If they swallow these, they can be deadly. Using a 3/8 by 3/8 inch or 10mm by 10mm worked pretty well for my blinds, but yours may be different. If you lose or damage your original valance, or if you just want one that's taller, you can use any thin piece of trim instead. I'm going to show you two different ways to install these magnets. Either way, be sure you install the magnets in the pieces of steel so that you can adjust the valance to hide the space that may be above or below the top channel. The first way I'm going to show you is the easiest. If your brackets are made of steel and you aren't worried about small kids getting a hold of the magnets if the valance somehow gets knocked down, then you can just glue the magnet to the valance, and then the valance will stick to the brackets. If you have a long valance, glue a thin piece of steel like a fender washer to the center of the top channel, and glue a magnet to the middle of the valance so it lines up with the washer. The second way is a little more trouble. Glue magnets to the blind channel or to the brackets, and then glue a thin piece of steel like a fender washer to the valance. For a long valance, glue a third magnet to the center of the channel and a piece of steel to the center of the valance so that it lines up with the magnet. With the magnets glued to the channel instead of the valance, children won't have access to the magnets if the valance gets knocked down. One of the problems I've noticed with just about every different blind that I've had is that the valance is almost always too low so you can see light above it, which to me looks kind of odd. One of the nice features of using the magnets instead of the universal clips is that you can adjust the location of the valance easily. So you can get it where it has the top and the bottom space. Or if your valance just flat isn't wide enough, you can get a wider piece of material like any piece of thin trim and put up here instead using magnets. Now if you just throw the valance up really quick, then it may not align properly and you'll have to move it. But if for whatever reason you want to make it easier to quickly realign the valance with the blind, you can glue an alignment piece like this over the metal. To do this, drill a hole the same size as the magnet through a thick piece of plastic. You can make it even better by using a tool like this to make the hole funnel shaped. You can use a rolled up piece of sandpaper to get the last of the burrs out of the hole. And then make sure that the magnet passes freely through the hole. Smear a thin film of something like petroleum jelly on the magnets so that the glue won't bond to the magnets. glue the pieces of plastic with the small side of the funnel facing the metal and the large side of the funnel facing the magnet. Install the valance and slide it into place before the glue dries. After the glue dries, the valance will snap into place every time you put it back up. If your magnets are in slightly different locations on each blind, write something on the back of the valance so you can match the valance to the correct blind. Also mark which way is up. Now that you've made these modifications, you can snap the valance off and open the gates so that you can make repairs or clean your blinds without worrying about tearing up the sheetrock returns or breaking delicate valance clips. Let me know if you make these modifications and what you think of them. Be sure to check the information section for details, updates, and links to related videos. User interaction really helps me out, so please click the like button and subscribe. And feel free to make comments and ask questions. Thanks for watching.